Hello. So we're going to do our vocabulary diamond for the week. And I already got my page set up. And so I'm going to go ahead and screen share it for you. And here we go. We're in the land of frogs and amphibians this week. So all of our words are going to have to do with that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and write my name at the top. And our first word is vertebrate. And that's an adjective. So a vertebrate is an animal that has a backbone or a spine. And creature is the synonym I got. So a vertebrate has a spine. Spine kind of looks like this. It's like a long group of attached so this is also the nerve center. So usually inside of a spine, there's a hole in the bone and in the cartilage, and that's where nerves travel up to the brain of the animal. At least in humans, that's we have bundles of nerves that go down through the spine. All right, let's look at our next word. Our next word is terrestrial. And it's also an adjective. And it is pertaining to planet Earth. Earthy is the synonym I got. So just going to draw planet Earth on here. South America. This is a really bad globe that I'm drawing here. There's Europe over here. Here's Africa. There's Hawaii out here. Asia over here. All right, so terrestrial just means like relating to planet Earth. All right, tadpole is our next word. And it is a noun. Excuse me. I don't know why I keep sneezing. I think I have really bad allergies, springtime allergies. And whenever I start to record, it's the only time I sneeze is when I'm recording. So a tadpole is the immature form of frogs and toads. And youngster is the synonym that I got. So a tadpole kind of looks like a little eyeball on it. And it has a long sort of tail thing, and then eventually a tadpole starts to grow legs. I don't know if you guys have had tadpoles in your classroom before. I've had them before. A parent brought some once, and they freak me out. Tadpoles are just totally freak me out because they start out with no legs and then they grow legs, and it's scary to me. how you can go from being something that has a tail to being something that has legs. And when I was a little kid, my sister had a whole bucket of them that she used for her science fair project, and I wouldn't go near them. They just freaked me out, and they still kind of freak me out. So I had them in my classroom one year because a parent brought them, and I was really not happy about having them in my class. So I usually don't have them, but I know you've probably been in classes where you've seen them before, and you get to see the stages and when they develop. They go from being something that looks kind of like a fish to becoming something that has legs and is not a fish. All right. Metamorphosis is our next word. Oops. There's an R in there. Morphosis. So it's Metamorphosis. And that is a noun. It is a profound change in an organism. And alteration is the synonym. So instead of having tadpoles in my class, I usually like to have silkworms. And so silkworms start out as eggs, and then they go from being eggs to being like these little things that look like ants. And then they go from that into being these big, huge worms. And then they go from that to spinning a cocoon. And then they go from the cocoon, they hatch out, and they become a moth. They have these little wings that don't work very well, and they kind of are fuzzy. And then they mate and lay eggs. And so they go through a really big metamorphosis. They look like a worm, but then they turn into a moth. So kind of like the tadpoles, they go from having looking like a caterpillar to having wings, right? And becoming a moth. I don't know why this doesn't freak me out, but it doesn't. This does freak me out. All right. We're flipping over to the next side, and we have a very big science word next, ectothermic. And that is a noun. There is no synonym for ectothermic. It is what it is. And it is an organism that regulates body temperature. From its environment. So if you have an animal like, for example, a turtle, our turtles can't regulate their own body heat. So they can't have a consistent temperature or stay warm. They have to bask in the sun, or you have to put a heat lamp on a turtle. Like, for example, if the turtle's in the classroom, our turtle tank has a heater because turtles can't regulate their own heat. Whereas humans can, right? If I'm just sitting outside, I'm going to get a little bit hot, but I'm not going to, boil over with heat. And if I'm outside, I'm going to get a little bit cold, but I'm not going to freeze to death and die. So an ectothermic is an animal. It's an organism that it can regulate from its environment. All right, and So I would think okay. The next word is scarce. Scarce is an adjective. I should probably have the turtle standing on something. All right. And rare was my synonym, and it means insufficient to satisfy a need. So if you don't have enough of something, there's a scarcity or a lack of something. So on Monday is when I typically do my shopping for groceries. And so if I open my refrigerator on Sunday night, food is very scarce. So I might have a carton of milk, and I might have some vegetables down here in the vegetable container. So Sunday night is not a good night to come over for snacks. Then when I go grocery shopping, food is no longer scarce. On Monday, there's plenty of food. All right, our next word is species. And it's a noun. And it's a class of individuals with common qualities. And my synonym for that was category. So scientists like to study animals, but there's a huge variety of animals on our planet. And so one of the things that scientists have done is they put the animals in categories so it's easier to study them. So I told you previously that my niece studies birds. There are millions of different kinds of birds. And so millions and cajillions of different kinds of birds. And so they're all in one category because they have similarities. They all have wings. Different birds have different lengths of legs, right? There are seabirds that have long legs because they perch in the sand, and then there's songbirds that have short legs, but they all have similar legs. And some of them have webbed feet, some of them have more of clawed feet. So scientists generally put animals in categories so that they can study them. And because there are so many different kinds of animals, if you were to study every animal, you wouldn't learn a lot about any animal because there are so many different kinds. So it's a good idea for them to be categorized so that we can study them more easily. And the way that they're categorized is by putting them in different groups. So we have mammals, we have reptiles, we have birds, we have amphibians. So we have a lot of we have insects. So we have a lot of different groups and categories And depending on the qualities or the physical characteristics of the specific animal, they get put into a category. So for example, mammals are all animals that drink milk from their mothers. And so all the animals that drink milk from their mothers are in that category. Birds, they're all going to be animals that have wings, right? That have that are feathered and have wings, go in that category. And within that, within mammals, there's a huge diversity, right? We're mammals, but whales are mammals too, and we don't look anything like whales. Right? So there may be a bit of diversity within each category, but usually there's some similarity, and that's the reason why the animal gets placed in that particular species. Okay, or that category. Betrayed is our last word. It's a good novella word. Betrayed is a verb, and it means to expose an enemy by treachery. And deceived is my synonym. I always think of like novellas and you're lying. And then another character says, I'm not. I know you are. I swear. Right? So that's a different kind of betrayal than we're probably going to be reading about in our science story that we're going to be reading. Really quickly, so I just wanted to look to make sure that turtles were ectothermic, and it says that they are. Turtles, like other reptiles, are ectotherms, meaning that they maintain and alter their body temperature by acquiring heat from the environment. So there are other animals that are also ectothermic too. So I just wanted to make sure that drawing a turtle was appropriate for that particular picture. All right, so I hope this helped you with studying your vocabulary, and I hope you enjoy reading the selection this week. And I will talk to you later. Thanks for joining me.